We're going to call this meeting to, there he is. Good afternoon and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting, February 27, 2020. We have a packed agenda today and so we're getting started on time, and that's a good sign. So by way of introductions, Leslie Hervey is at the end of the dais to my far right. Jackie Paniotto is next to her, clerk to the board. Commissioner Victoria Parks is to my immediate right. To my immediate left is the Vice President, Commissioner Summer Odumas. Next to her is John Brugan. He is the Budget Director and sitting in place of Jeff Aludo, who is not with us today. And Legal Counsel Michael Friedman is to my far left. We'll start the meeting with silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand if you can. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to move that we approve of the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. We have a presentation this afternoon. Commissioner Parks is going to do the honors. We are recognizing an employee who's with us, Don Mays, who has spent 25 years in environmental services. So congratulations to you, and Commissioner Parks will do the honors.
If you will come forward, please. Don Mays, Department of Environmental Services. Don began service with the Hamilton County Department of Environmental Services in February of 1995. Her career started out as an environmental technician, where she was responsible for witnessing and validating emission testing requirements for a wide array of industrial sources. In 2005, Don joined the department's management team and became the testing and evaluation coordinator, overseeing the stack testing, asbestos, and continuous emission monitoring programs. Don has always gone above and beyond the job duties listed in her classification specification. She is a long-time contributor to the Hamilton County Human Resources Training section in Cincinnati State, serving as an adjunct instructor for both. Beyond her work with training county employees and students, Don has worked on both the state and national level, developing training programs and delivering presentations. Don continues to be active in many department initiatives, including the Wellness Committee, succession planning, and the upcoming continuous quality improvement training. Her willingness to always help out has been and continues to be a great benefit for the Hamilton County Department of Environmental Services. Thank you, and congratulations for your 25 years of dedicated service to Hamilton County.
Thank you. And we're going to take a photo. There you go. Action.
Yeah. And if you stand right here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks. Would you like to say a few words?
No, I appreciate everybody's support that I've had over the years. I enjoy my work with my department. I love my work that I do with the HEB training program and being able to help other county employees become better.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I think she has some support here, too.
Yeah, and there are others. Thank you, Brad, for being here, and the others from the department. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. See you later. It's fine. We're not offended. We have a public hearing. Jackie, was the public hearing noticed for 1:15? Okay, so we're a little ahead of time. So I think I'm going to, we'll do some of these other items first and then move into the public hearing at 1:15. I have two speakers' cards. My understanding is, thank you. My understanding is that they are both related to items that we're going to take up later in the meeting, so I'm going to hold on to those for a second. and move into the comments and motions of commissioners. Commissioner Summer Odumas.
Thank you, Madam President. I normally talk about some of the things I've been involved with in the last week or so. I'm going to not do that today and do it next week. But I do have two comments as it relates to, we have a dog warden advisory committee who's looking at the SPCA and whether or not we need to maintain our relationship with them. And they gave us some great recommendations as far as what they think should happen in the future with the SPCA. And I want to publicly thank them for their work and also their recommendations that they sent forth for the commission to consider. I am also adamant about the fact that we need to continue the path that we started months ago as it relates to our involvement with SPCA, whether or not we need to kind of terminate some of those relationships or look at a different way with the sheriff department providing services. And I'm still on that same road that we need to look at new, innovative, creative ways to do things. Secondly, I'm just really deeply concerned regarding the direction that the Port Authority is going as it relates to the demolition process. You know, I don't believe everything I read in the paper for sure, but just being inclusive as we look at how we're going to move forward with this Millennium project. And I also want to make it very clear that the decision to approve the Millennium Hotel was not unanimous. And so I'm very going to be looking very closely at how we proceed because it has been decided by the commission to proceed in this way, but I'm going to be looking very closely on how we proceed. And I have a comment as it relates to our consent item, but I'll wait till we get to that. That'll end my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Parks.
Just wanted to say that yesterday I experienced democracy in action, and I just love it. Had a student from Xavier University that visited our office to discuss election reform, and he was specifically interested in automatic voter registration. Just of note, as of June of last year, there are 18 states that have enacted the automatic voter registration. That is when you go to the BMV to get your license, that you're automatically registered. So there was a bill on Tuesday up in the Ohio Senate that was introduced. So I'll just be keeping my eye on that. And I love when young people get involved. That's all.
All right, very good. Thank you. I have a couple of things. We all attended this Convention and Visitors Bureau lunch, their annual lunch, the other day. So it was a very nice program, as always, and of note, they named the Grand Ballroom after Todd Fortune. So Ethan, his son, was there to receive the recognition. I thought it was just a very nice ceremony and want to thank the CVB for that recognition on behalf of Todd and his family, and it was just lovely. So also, yesterday, we had the annual report that I would generally say came forward from the Heroin Coalition, but we've renamed ourselves because the issue of addiction is not just about one drug in this community. And so acknowledging that, and acknowledging that the group got started when there was such a huge spike in heroin-related deaths in this community. And so I think at the time, the naming was appropriate, and that was a response to what we were seeing. But a few years in, we decided collectively that a more inclusive name would be the Hamilton County Addiction Response Coalition. And so we have rebranded. Here is, this is the rebrand, thanks to the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board for helping us with that. We are not rebranders ourselves, so I'm very grateful for that. But it does indicate that this is a collective, the nature of the work is collective, and so the report reflects that too. So each of the steering committees, prevention, treatment, interdiction, harm reduction, faith committee, and business committee, all submitted information for their report. So it's a look back as to what we accomplished last year and a look forward as to how we hope to move collectively forward to continue to save lives, get people into treatment and long-term recovery. And we talked especially about the last part because we have seen a decrease in numbers in the death rate in Hamilton County. Still very high, still over 400 deaths in this county, which is way too many. But we recognize that the next frontier is going to be these support services, employment, transportation, and housing. And so the report reflects that. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of my colleagues. This group is one of the smartest, most determined groups of people I've ever met. And when you get those kind of folks in a room together, good things happen. And so I think you'll see that the report reflects that. Lastly, I was invited to go to the Human Services Chamber on behalf of the Commission this morning to give an update on the census. And so I had to call Chandra Youngbroth and get that update, but I did, and I want to share it with the general public. And so, as you know, we've been promoting the census. We all need to be counted, complete count. We are arm in arm with the city on this effort. We've allocated some resources for this, and we are determined to have a higher count than we have had in the past, because the dollars that we receive from the federal government are directly tied to the number of people that are counted in this county. And when we don't get fully counted, we don't get our fair share. And these are economic development dollars, and they're dollars that support some of the social services that we support through the board. So I asked Chandra to give me an update, and so I'm going to give that to you very briefly. The letters or the communications will start going out March 12th. From the census. People will receive 4 communications from the census, and the 4th one will be the form that you use to respond and get counted. So I just want to alert people that information is coming their way. The canvassers, if someone has not responded, then the canvassers will hit the streets around May 1st, and they are still looking for people in this community to participate in that. Remember the good paying jobs that we're talking about, $23 to $26. You set your own hours. It starts around May 1st. And so for some folks like students and teachers and folks that are retired, this would be, I think, an especially appealing job. But there are certain communities where we don't have enough people. Because we've hit 94% of the goal countywide for people to participate in Canvas. The communities that we do not have the goal reached are Sharonville, Clifton, Corryville, and Mount Auburn. So if you know anyone that lives in those areas that would like to participate in the census, please have them go to the website, which of course I don't have in front of me right now. I think it's Census 2020, Census 2020, .gov, right? Go express your interest, and they will be happy to hear from you. So anyway, just trying to always keep it way high on the radar. So I think, John, we're going to not do your comments just yet or your by leaves and move straight into the public hearing because we're at time. So who is going to kick off the public hearing?
To compliment you.
Sorry?
I would like to compliment you.
Oh.
1 second.
Well, take the mic, please.
Okay. But I just want to applaud you for all your hard work as it relates to the Hamilton County Heroin Coalition, just seeing your passion and just going at it with the group, and compliment the group also, and that the rebranding is very timely. And so I'm just really excited about that. You're welcome.
Thank you. It's certainly a collective effort, and I cannot say enough about the smart people that are part of this effort because they're really making a difference. Thank you. But thank you, though. All right. Moving into the public hearing. Oh, very good. Is Brian coming forward? All right, welcome.
Hi. Let's see. Hi, my name is Nick Keeling. I'm the associate planner upstairs. I've been there for about 2 years now. I'm here to bring a zone change request. Is there a way to pull that up on the screen? No, perfect.
Why don't you go ahead and move forward
Yeah.
while we try to get this going?
Okay. This is a request for a zone change from a C residence area to a double E planned retail district. It's currently located in Green Township. It has the intersection at Harrison Avenue and Lee Court, and that intersection is also the intersection of Harrison Avenue and Western Northern Boulevard, and this is across the street from Western Northern. And so the purpose of this is to demolish all existing structures on the site and construct a 3,000 square foot bank building with associated parking lots and a curb cut on the Lee Court. In regards to plan consistency, the Regional Planning Commission and the Rural Zoning Commission both found it to be consistent with the adopted land use plan and text and also the zoning resolution and recommended for approval. Staff also hosted a staff review conference in December where about 15 residents were present and voiced concerns in regards to stormwater mitigation and also the curb cut on the Lee Court. In regards to that, pardon me for 1 second. Well, without the help of the projector, it's kind of hard to visualize where it is, but it's the location of it's about a 3,000 square foot bank building directly across the street. To the north of it, you have a double O planned office district as well. To the south and east, you have residence districts. There's single-family homes, and also to the west, there's another bank use, which is also planned office districts. And that is all I have for you. If you have any questions for me, just let me know. Thanks.
Could you talk to us a little bit about the process so that we have a better understanding of the
Sure.
community involvement?
Yes, and so December we hosted a staff review conference, which is a notification that goes at a 200 feet radius around the property. And people showed up to that, about 15 people. The applicant was there and also staff were there. We host these staff review conferences so the public can vocalize that to both the developer and also us so we can help us craft our staff report as well. And so following that, there's the Regional Planning Commission, and they find consistency with both the Green Township adopted land use plan and text. And once they recommend for approval, they go on to the Rural Zoning Commission, and they find more things in regards to the zoning resolution, such as setbacks and boundary buffers and things like that. It should also be noticed that on the plan, when it gets projected, that there is also a revision, a small revision done to the plan as well for just an emergency door on the rear of the building to allow access to the basement, because the topography allows for a rear door to be accessed from that as well. And so following all those two procedures, then it brings us to the Board of County Commissioners.
And can you tell us what happened at those public hearings? Were there concerns or was there unanimous support?
There was unanimous support from both the Regional Planning Commission and also the Rural Zoning Commission as well. There was some there was some public opposition in regards to curb cuts and problems regarding boundary buffer mitigation, but the applicant has addressed those issues in regards to increased boundary buffers, so the building will be screened from the surrounding properties.
And so given those changes, is there now unanimous consent that this should move forward from the community, or do you have a sense of that?
I have a sense of a unanimous consent for that, yes.
Okay, and I know there are folks here from Green Township as well. So are there any questions or comments related to this report?
No.
Okay, thank you for that. Is anybody from Green Township, do you want to come speak?
I can.
Yeah, why don't you? Yeah.
Adam Getzman, Green Township
Mm-hmm.
Director, Assistant Administrator. The township also did a review. I attend the staff conference, also attended Planning Commission and Rural Zoning Commission hearings on behalf of the trustees. The trustees did review the process at an open meeting. Now, we don't send out formal notification, but at the staff conference, we kind of walk people through township involvement as well as how the process works. And always there is a township meeting between the Planning Commission meeting and the Zoning Commission meeting, so we inform all the neighbors that if they'd like to voice objections or concerns to the trustees directly, they should come to that meeting. That meeting was held in February between those two meetings, and we did not have any opposition. Trustees did review the project, kind of reviewed it in light of some of the recommendations that staff had made, and their endorsement was based on staff recommendations, so they're very pleased with the fact that there's been some refinements, some additional buffering and curb cuts consolidation and those kinds of things, but overall the township's in support of the project. It's inconsistent with our land use plan and the vision for that location, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yes, Madam President, the 15 residents that were there, were they also notified of this meeting?
I believe they were, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Parks?
No question.
Okay, thank you. I do have a speaker's card.
I didn't need the term.
No, that's, I have a speaker's card on this. Mike?
Just wanted to show we've got copies if anybody.
Oh, perfect. Yes, please. Yeah, let's get those in front of us. Yeah. Mike, is it Christensen? Sorry. Yes, please come forward.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Get the pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes.
My name is Mike Christensen. I'm the applicant. I work for K4 Architects in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I represent my client, Superior Credit Union, who is purchasing this property and building this financial institution. I'm basically here. If you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer it, but I think everybody kind of discussed what the program is and what we're trying to accomplish here, so if you've got any questions for me. Feel free
Can
to
you talk to us a little bit about the time frame,
in terms of,
the build that will be going?
the drawings should be done around April the 17th, somewhere in there, and then it'll go out to bid and permit and should be back by May the 15th. And then hopefully from there, you're looking at a 7 to 8 month build time. So it should be done sometime the end of December, January, maybe,
Okay.
is where we're looking.
Great. All right, great, thank you. Are there any comments or questions?
So are these drawings temporary drawings, or will they be modified?
They're preliminary. I mean, that's what we're going to build. I mean, they're just,
So
I mean,
the-
there will be final drawings that show all of where the water's going, where the runoff is going. We're going to have details and everything. But that is the design. That's
So the
where it will
April
be.
17th design will be what?
Will be the actual construction documents, what the general contractor will build from.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No questions.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you for being here. All right, is anyone else here to speak to anything related to the public hearing? All right, keep me on track here now. So I think I need to close the public hearing and then ask that the appropriate documents come in front of us next week.
Correct, yes.
All right, so I'm going to do that then. So I'll move to close the hearing.
Second,
Yes?
yes.
Yes.
If you could bring those documents forward, that would be great.
We'll have them next week.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, thank you all for being here. Okay, let's go back to the budget director's by-leaves.
Right, we have a number of by-leaves today. The first batch of them are related to construction of the Wade Garage, and I think Phil Beck may be around here to speak to them. If he's not, we'll proceed anyway, but the first one is a resolution to accept.
He just walked into the room.
And here he is.
Yep, there he is, like magic. Hello, Phil?
The first one is a resolution accepting the
We're-
lowest and best bid for construction of the Wade Garage, bid package number 1, deep foundations and site enabling by the board. Phil, do you want to tell us a little bit about?
This is for the actual construction contract. So Gettle was the,
So let me, just as a precursor, say that we did discuss this as our staff meeting on Tuesday.
Yes.
And as promised, the resolutions are in front of us today. So if you could just give us a summary of the three resolutions, that'd be helpful.
be glad to.
Yeah.
I'll start by introducing myself. Phil Beck, Hamilton County Construction Executive. So relative to the North Garage, as part of the new, or associated with the new FC Stadium, we are ready to start construction. So these are the first three agreements associated with that work so that we can actually open the new garage essentially 1 year from next week. So the first item is the deep foundation contract. We bid that out, had 3 responses, and Gettle was the low bid, $888,000, and that has been vetted. The second is the design agreement for THP, $1.3 million. And the third is for the project management agreement with Skanska, $752,000 and change. And those are the agreements and the amounts that, as you said, we talked about Tuesday.
Are there any comments or questions related to these three items?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay, I'm then going to take these separately, Michael? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I am going to move to approve of the resolution accepting lowest and best bid for the construction of the Wade Garage, bid package number 1, deep foundations and site enabling by the board.
Second,
Yes.
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 I will also move that we approve of the resolution approving project management agreement for public parking facility.
Second,
Yes?
yes.
Yes.
And then thirdly, I move to approve of the resolution approving engineering and architectural services agreement with THP Limited, Inc.
Second.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. There is a fourth by leave item in your packet. It establishes, and I brought this forward on Tuesday. I've circulated it to your offices. This is the community benefits agreement, similar to what we have on the coroner's office. You can see what the intent is, basically to have local people working on this site during construction and make sure that we have next week. I do want to say, though, I hope that in the meantime we can get together. I think there is a meeting in the offing between the city and the county to try to talk through some of the inconsistencies that we have heard related to this project. We had a county engineer in here on Tuesday talking about how we could temporarily patch this pipe to keep the seepage from going into the creek in the backyards of some folks in the community. Not a long-term solution, just a temporary solution. But I think MSD disagrees with that analysis. And so I am hopeful that we can get some resolution fairly quickly. I know this is at the top of the radar for everyone, and so I'm going to remain optimistic until I shouldn't be on this one, and so we'll try to get a meeting scheduled before next week, and so I hope to bring this forward next week so that we can pass either on this resolution or something close to it. So I'm putting that one aside for the time being. And I think that's what we have in the by-leave packet related to MSD. The next item is a resolution related to JFS. We do have a speaker's card on this one, and so we did hear about this at our last meeting in North Bend. We had a couple speakers come forward, and so we held the item to get some clarity about our role in the placement directive that we've been given by the court. And so I think we have all met with JFS and gotten the clarity that we need. I don't want to speak for either of my colleagues, but why don't we hear from the speaker first, and then we will talk it through, and I would also like to hear from legal counsel after the speaker goes. So Karen Lamping is the speaker. Please come forward. You've got the pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you. And my name is Karen Lapping. I was here last week, and this was put off until this week. I appreciate the time that was taken to investigate this. But it was mentioned last week that the ombudsman said the placement was on the judicial side and that nothing could be done. The commissioners need to inquire as to why Job and Family Services refuses to place the children with the grandparents all together in one place and have continually fought in court. JFS has fought in court consistently, despite the judge expressing that the children should be with the grandparents. The grandparents have been available since day one to take the children as a kinship placement with no cost at all, and they have the financial means to take care of all 5 of these children, the one they already have and the other 4 that are placed in upstate New York, which is what this this placement is about, this Wayward Farm, whatever the farm, whatever it's called, I forget. Anyway, the grandparents have been available since day one to take the children on a kinship placement with no cost at all to the county. The grandparents have always been able to provide financially without any payment from the county. New York placement is not financially able to provide without significant income from Hamilton County, so they couldn't do it on their own as a kinship placement. These children are foster placement, but it's with the aunt and uncle. The New York placement is the 4 children are with an aunt and uncle. The Job and Family Services and the GAL refuse placement with the grandparents and instead they have incurred millions of dollars in foster care monies wasted by the taxpayers. At the end of year 1, the ombudsman reported that it had cost about $3.5 million to pursue this particular case. We are now 3.5 years into this case. At that rate, we're in excess of $10 million on this one family. This is crazy. When these children could be placed in a kinship placement and the county just completely be done with it. However, they need to do that. Unfortunately, the comment from the ombudsman is not the full truth. There can be something done. JFS as the commissioners, you have oversight over Job and Family Services. You can't tell the children where they need to be placed, but you're certainly in charge of the budget and how that money is being spent. And I don't feel like you're getting the full picture of what's taking place. They're not reporting to you that there's being reports of abuse in the home that they're in now. In the home that they were in before, there was concerns of sexual misconduct. They're not telling you those kinds of things. Those are things you need to know, and those are the things that are going to have to come from us, the public, because Job and Family Services hasn't been really forthcoming. The other thing
I'm going to ask you to summarize.
Okay. Last week, I want to say something that you said last week. You commented on, not being able to get involved because you were very uncomfortable because this was such a sensitive issue. You're absolutely right. This is an extremely sensitive issue. This is the life of 5 severely handicapped children. The 4 children that are in New York are all adopted from China. They've already been placed into a loving home here and now yanked out. This is critical that we look at this case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I know there are folks here from JFS, and I also know that Michael Friedman, our legal counsel, is up to speed on this issue. I think, from my perspective, and the reason for my comments last week were that, this case is being litigated currently, and so it is not really our it's outside of our parameters to get involved in that. However, we have a contract in front of us that the court has put in front of us. So I don't know if, let me ask you, Michael, first, for your perspective on this and the board's role in this particular case.
Yes. My understanding, speaking with the attorneys that have been involved with this, as well as the ombudsman, is that the placement is something that has gone through the court system, and they have made a ruling on that. As part of that, there's a placement, and Laura Wolf is here to talk about the contract specifically, but that contract is now before the board for approval, and you're being asked for approval based on a court order to place these children, and my understanding from the attorneys involved would not approving that could jeopardize that court order. That is just the immediate question there. The larger concern, which we have raised before, when individuals come in to talk about court cases, is that this board is not a court of law and should not be getting involved in that branch of the government. They are separate branches for a reason, and aside from that separation of powers issue, there's also the kind of practical issue of the court of law is the appropriate place to raise the concerns that you may have raised, because there are evidentiary procedures that individuals can come in and give testimony sworn before the court, and they can provide evidence to that court, who then can weigh the different evidence and decide what is in the best interest of all the children. That is the appropriate forum to do that. And it's entirely appropriate for this board to try to insert themselves into a court proceeding. And based on what I have spoken to the attorneys that are involved in this, the court has ordered the placement, and at this point we do not see, and our office does not see a reason to not approve the contract based on what the information we have before us and the court order.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions?
Madam President, I just wanted to thank the Commission for allowing, I requested to defer this to this week in order to get clarification, which I have received. So I appreciate the Commission allowing that to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I know all 3 of us had the meetings with JFS to get some clarity here, and so I don't know that we need to comment further. So in that case, I am going to move that we approve of resolution number J025-20. Michael, do I need to read the?
That is the identification.
Sorry?
That's the identification.
Okay, very good. I'm going to move to approve.
Second.
Yes.
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 Thank you. All right.
We have one more by-leave item.
Please.
This is resolution appointing Eric Beck to the Board of Trustees of the Hamilton County Transportation Improvement District.
Hurrah. So, yeah, so are there any comments or questions? We've all met Eric. Ted, It's very sad to see you go. I know you enjoyed the TID, but we all have representatives on the TID. They're doing very good work. Eric, I'm grateful that you're willing to step into the role. And are there any comments or questions related to this item?
No comments.
No comments.
All right, very good. I'm going to move that we approve the resolution appointing Eric Beck to the Board of Trustees of the Hamilton County TID.
Second.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
That's all.
All right. We have moved through the by-leaves. All right. We have a number of regular agenda items by way of the engineer. Ted Hubbard is here with us. They're items 1 through 10. Very busy, Ted.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Anyway, good afternoon, Commissioners. The first item pertains to a resolution that would authorize and support the placement of signs, bicycle route signs proposed by AASHTO and the Ohio Department of Transportation. The Ohio Department of Transportation has requested a resolution of support, and that resolution of support is before you. There are a couple county roads that are involved, Civic Center, Pippin. Most of them are not county roads, but there are a few. Item 2 pertains to...
Can I digress? Is this map is related to this?
That's part of the resolution. Okay. That is actually part of the resolution.
Very good.
Yeah, and there are other counties. The other counties in the state are also that are involved in this are also being asked to provide resolutions of support as well.
Okay.
So it's just a resolution of support. I don't believe it commits us to anything. So anyway, that is. My understanding is that Butler County has passed a similar resolution, and so has Warren County. So,
okay.
Item 2 pertains to a resolution that would authorize a joint agreement between the City of Cincinnati and Hamilton County for the maintenance of Red Bank Road. There was an annexation that occurred adjacent to Red Bank Road, and generally when these types of annexations occur and it impacts the county road, we ask that the annexing municipality enter into a maintenance agreement with us so that they'll take care of the road even though it may not be inside the municipal corporation. Standard practice. Item 3 pertains to a resolution that would authorize a loader agreement with Delhi Township and Oak Hill School District. This is salt loader, and so this is something we've done over and over again. Item 4 pertains to a resolution that would authorize our final sidewalk assessment program for the 2019 sidewalk repairs. Now, item 5 pertains to a resolution that would authorize a general services engineering agreement with AECom, not to exceed $40,000. Item 6 would pertains to a resolution that would authorize a general services engineering contract with DLZ, not to exceed $40,000. Item 7 pertains to a resolution that would authorize a consultant agreement with IBI Group. Again, not to exceed $40,000. Item 8 pertains to a resolution that would authorize a general services consultant agreement with Stantec Consultant Engineering, Inc. Again, not to exceed $40,000. Item 9 pertains to a resolution that would authorize a consultant agreement with Terracon Consultants for general engineering services. And then item 10 pertains to a resolution that would authorize a consultant agreement with WSP USA Inc., not to exceed $40,000. Technically, just to let your board know, technically, when you're under, according to the code, when it pertains to consultant selection, anything over $50,000 needs to go to the consultant selection process. We felt that it was necessary that we put the consultants through this process, even though it's under the $50,000, because it needs to be open and notorious. It allows those who have it allows those who may question. People who might question the process to have clarity to see exactly what we're doing, and I think and the consultants are very, very much aware of this, and so we've done this before. We think it's a good process. Instead of just somebody who comes in, or there's a job that's $35,000, $40,000, you say, well, we'll assign it to you. Then there's no real consultant selection process. We think the consultant selection process is the way to go. Mm-hmm. And I think I believe the gentleman that's going to follow me believes the same thing. Do you not? Yes, so, yeah, we want to be open and notorious, and we encourage all to get involved in engineering and technology.
Great.
That's my word, I tell you, and if anybody wants me to go around with them to talk to people, I am more than willing to do it. I think we need to get young people, and I mean young people, I mean women, minorities, everybody, to get involved in science and engineering. Technology has been a great career for me. I came from a middle-class background, and I tell you what, I can, I've seen folks who just have really blossomed, who have gotten into math and science. So that is something I will do. No charge, glad to do it. Anybody wants to, I'm in the phone book, call me. I will be glad to go with you anywhere.
The phone book, what's that?
You can tell I was born in the 50s. I was born in the 50s.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments related to these regular agenda items?
Just one question. Ted, for number 4, the sidewalk repair project.
Yes, ma'am.
At what point I was looking at the areas that are going to be impacted by that. When do we add on other areas?
Mr. Flammer is in the room. Greg, Greg is the one who is closest to the work.
Okay.
And I've talked to you about him before.
Yes.
Great guy.
Yes, so don't lie to them, Ted. So we don't really add new. We have a 6-year cycle that we use. So we have that listed in an inventory of sidewalks. We try to do the same amount every year.
Okay.
And so we just follow up. Now, when new sidewalk comes in, we add that to the inventory, and then we assign it an inspection year.
Okay.
Is the way we do that.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
that answer your question? Okay, great.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Nothing.
Questions?
Ted, I'm going to miss you.
I'm going to miss you too, Victoria.
And thank you for going through the bid process with items that you really don't have to, because this adheres and promotes our policy of inclusion, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Victoria. Well, it's been great working with all three of you, and I sincerely mean that.
Hold on, you're jumping the gun. Hold on one
second. I didn't know you had.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on, everybody, hold on now. All right, so let's deal with these items first. I appreciate your comments. So regular, I'm going to move that we approve of regular agenda items 1 through 10.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse? Yes. Commissioner Summer-Dumas?
Yes.
Yes.
Just don't want anybody to get weepy ahead of time. So while I know there is an event this evening that you host on an annual basis, we wanted to recognize you. All three of us have signed a proclamation in honor of Ted Hubbard. Ted, I would read this very lengthy proclamation, but I think from the heart, and I know my colleagues will have comments as well, your willingness to come in here week after week and walk us through the sidewalk process and the road processes and the bike trails and all the things that you do, and your advocacy for improving infrastructure in this community is top-notch, unparalleled, and I know other engineers in other parts of the state.
Thank
and you are the best of the best. And I've only served with you a short time relative to others, even shorter for some of my colleagues, but man, oh man, you've just been a delight to work
Thank you.
with. We rely on you. We know that you're going to give us the straight scoop every single time. And, it's just been a joy to spend time with you and to work with you on all these items. So thanks so much for your work. And we're going to proclaim it your day in a second, but I'm going to let my colleagues say something first.
Thank you, Madam President. I worked indirectly with you in Forest Park in the village of Lincoln Heights. So, but working directly with you here, you were so helpful, got me up to speed as far as the process and what takes place. But more importantly for me, when we had citizen concerns, and I've said this before and it's worth repeating, that you immediately took care of those, got the phone number, and tried to resolve those issues. So I thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you.
You'll be missed.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
And I'll continue to express my appreciation and just the way that you are always willing to help. And you're a scientist with a great personality. So I'm impressed with that, and and it's awfully gracious of you to offer to encourage young people to get involved.
I mean
So pick up the phone when I call.
All right, thank you. You've got my number anyway. You have my number.
All right, so hold on, now for the formality. So we have a proclamation honoring Ted Hubbard for his 27 years of service to the Hamilton County Engineers Department. Going to read the very end of this. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hamilton County, Ohio, does hereby recognize and thank Ted Hubbard for his outstanding career of dedicated service to the citizens of Hamilton County and to our region. And we wish you well in your future endeavors. And be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim the 27th day of February 2020 as Ted Hubbard Day in all of Hamilton County.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Go right here. Tell me where you want.
Ted, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I would. I've got to tell you, it's been an amazing trip, and I can't tell you, this. I've enjoyed working with this board. I believe that we get better as we see the mountain from different perspectives. In my life, I see that clearer and clearer. And I think it is important for people to be involved. And I mean people that don't necessarily agree with me. I talk about folks that citizens that have been involved with the work we do. They come in and they talk and they keep us honest. And Stephanie, we work for them. And I know, Denise, I know you believe that. And I know you believe that too, Victoria. That's the common ground. And the thing is, it is extremely important to hear what folks have to say, and we make adjustments. And what we end up with is something better than what we thought individually we were doing. I mean, I can't get the facts on the table, make decisions based on the facts that we know. And then what happens is, and different people are going to bring different facts to the table, and then what happens is we make a decision that really does work for the better. So, we got to see things from the other side of the mountain. We've got to listen to the folks who are on the other side of the mountain from us. And it has been an unbelievable, I never dreamed that I'd get to do this kind of thing, this kind of work this long. And I am most thankful. I thank God, and I do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move through the regular agenda items. So item number 11 is an MSD item. Jack Ranakamp is coming back up. Please describe this one, Jack.
Thank you, Commissioners. Item 11 is a request to your board for adopting two resolutions dealing with sanitary sewer 6176, the Maple Knoll Drive local sewer. So as the name implies, local sewer, this is an assessment project. It is not one that's driven by MSD. It's one that has been requested by a majority of the petitioners who will benefit from this project, which are 10 properties located on Maple Knoll Drive. And a majority supported this project to go forward. The current request is, as I indicated, twofold. One is to proceed with the next step in the process of a local sewer and a petition project, which is for you to consider, and our recommendation is to adopt a resolution to proceed, which is also called the improvement resolution. As part of that resolution, because in this project there were objectors to this project, two objectors, that you disposed of those objections in December 2019, but as a part of that resolution to proceed, statutorily the clerk is required to notify those objectors if indeed they want to object by today at 1 o'clock and file any action with the clerk of the board. And I'll turn to the clerk of the board to see if there were any. So the next request from MSD is to appropriate 6 easements from 3 different parcels, one of which is not benefited by this project, but is necessary to construct the project. So these easements have been attempted to be negotiated. We haven't been successful in negotiating those easements with the property owners. And as a part of this resolution, it will refer the matter to the Hamilton County Prosecutor to take all necessary action in order to secure the easements. If you have any specific technical questions, I have Aaron Burkhart, the project manager, with me today. And our request is to adopt these resolutions to move the project forward to its next and final stage, which is to appropriate funds for construction.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Are there any questions or comments?
No questions.
So, Jack, you were not able to negotiate with the property owners?
In these three for these three parcels. There are other parcels that are required for this project where the negotiations were successful and we secured easements.
And so you referred it to the prosecutor?
Correct.
For
either appropriation, legal action that the prosecutor would take, or further negotiation, which the prosecutor can undertake beyond an established fair market value, that we have that as our threshold, our upper limit.
I see. Okay, thank you.
We're good? Okay, so we have, I assume all of what you've referred to are encapsulated in item number 11?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, very good. Seeing nothing further, I'm going to move that we approve of regular agenda item number 11.
Second.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thanks, Jack. Thank you all for being here. All right, we've got a number of consent agenda items. So there are 12 through 21. I have asked Robert Bell to be here today to talk to item number 15, which is a resolution appointing 4 members to the Hamilton County Inclusion Advisory Council. And so some of folks are being reappointed, and I think we're more familiar with that group than we are with the ones listed in 15. So, Robert, could you just help us become better acquainted with these individuals?
We'll be glad to. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Robert Bell, Director of Economic Inclusion for the county. You wanted me to start with the reappointments first? Or
No, the new people.
The new. Okay, Steve Albert is from East West Path Limited. They do business development with Chinese companies and American companies. He was appointed by the Greater Cincinnati Chinese Chamber of Commerce, and he replaces Tessa Huan, who was originally appointed. Sean Bostic is with the Hamilton County Developmental Disabilities. He replaces Nathan Beck, who was in the original appointment, who is also from Hamilton County Disabilities. Kruthoth Jane is with Think Champion, an A&E firm here in Cincinnati. He was appointed by the Indian American Chamber of Commerce, and he replaces Lindsay Wilhelm, who was one of the original appointees. Reagan Smith, she's a lawyer with Taft Law. She was appointed by the African American Chamber of Commerce, and Stephen Love was the first appointment, and I'm going to miss them all. They were just great, with a lot of great results on what we're doing with the contract proposals. We got a big proposal getting ready to come to you now, set of recommendations for procurement and employment and stuff. So, plus we have 3 major, very effective committees, Workforce Committee, Procurement Committee, and Outreach and Communication Committee that are very active, because the council meets every other month, but the committees work very hard in between months and do most of the work. And legal has been very helpful with us, especially with the upcoming policies and procedure manual. So I want to thank legal for all the help and support that they've given over the last 2 years on the contracts, on the proposals, on the recommendations and things.
Great.
And so you know the other ones, right? Emmett Drain, Diversity Facility Solutions. He was appointed by the Ohio Valley Builders and Contractors, and these are the reappointments. Frederick Lampy, to Greater Cincinnati Building and Construction Trade Council. Simone Sotelo, he is appointed by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and he wants to keep his business kind of separate from that, so I'm not going to go through who his business is. And then Bernice Walker, who used to work for us. She was appointed by the Cincinnati Regional Chamber. Bernice is the chair of the committee. Fred Lampy is one of the vice chairs of the committee as well. of the Workforce Committee as well. So, I mean, I've been very lucky to have them. They are extremely great. You guys did a great appointment, and I think we've got some good replacements for the ones that are rotating off. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I want to note that when we passed this resolution a couple of years ago to establish the Inclusion Council, we said that we wanted these different organizations that you've just identified to offer someone for appointment, and so I can see how that's playing out here. So it's a very, obviously by design, a very diverse group of people, and I especially want to note that the DD community is represented here.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Portune had a lot to say about that.
Right.
And there are women's organizations represented, and then all the different chambers that are in our region, they all have a seat at the table. So I want to commend you.
Union and non-union.
Yeah, that's right, private side, public side. So, Robert, when should we expect the report for the recommendations from the Inclusion Council?
Soon. I mean, it's going to be a few more days. We're fine-tuning it. I'm working with the legal department to just get the final draft ready for Jeff, and then he and I will go over it, and then we'll have it to you very soon. I can't say exactly when, but it will be soon.
I just want to make sure that we schedule that in for a staff meeting so that we can have a robust dialogue about the recommendations.
Gotcha.
So we'll whenever you're ready, we'll go ahead and put that on the calendar.
I should know by next week.
Okay, that's great. Any comments or questions?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to compliment you as you were saying who was replacing who, the correlation of the Chinese chamber and trying to get someone from there and the Indian chamber so you don't lose any traction in the process. So I think that's very good of you to try to continue that correlation.
And you guys and the commissioners and the administration and Jeff and everyone has been very helpful with helping us being able to achieve that. So I got to tell you, you guys made some great selections the first time. It's hard for me to keep up with that.
I have no comments.
Okay, great. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. Any other questions or comments related to the consent agenda items?
Yes, Madam President, just a quick question, maybe for John. Number 12, your budget adjustment for the coroner grant. Just wonder how does that adjustment affect our total budget for the coroner's project? Because I know adjustments do happen, do happen usually at the end, but does that still keep us in budget of what we've allocated?
For
The coroner.
For the grant?
Yeah,
Yeah, these are actually adjustments because the grant awards have moved. So this is actually a small decrease to their 2018 grant from the Paul Coverdale grant. And the 2019 one is, I believe, somewhat of an increase to that grant. So they're mid-period on these grant cycles, and the awarding institutions have come back with slight tweaks to them.
So when you say the grants have moved, explain that to me.
I don't know the details of this. I know often we will appropriate grants on preliminary awards, and then as the grantors move through cycle, there can be some small changes to those awards, and that's what we're seeing in both of these cases.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Parks?
No comments.
All right. In that case, I'm going to move that we approve of consent agenda items 12 through 21.
Second.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. We have two travel items, requesting authorization to travel at the county's expense. The coroner has one employee going to Nashville, and the engineer has 3 employees going to Hamilton, Ohio. I will move to approve of the travel items.
Second.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. If there's nothing further to come before us here, we do have 2 executive sessions on the agenda, and so I'm going to move that we go into executive session pursuant to RC Section 121.22G3 to conduct a conference with an attorney concerning pending litigation, and a second executive session pursuant to RC Section 121.22G3 to conduct a conference with an attorney concerning MSD.
Second.
Yes.
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 Thank you.